Welcome to Human at the Helm, the show where we explore what it really takes to navigate marketing in an AI driven world. I'm your host, Veronica Markol, and every episode I sit down with agency leaders, CMOs, and innovators who are figuring out how to keep humans at the center while embracing the tools of the future. Today, I'm really excited to welcome Kevin Kerner, a true pioneer in tech marketing with over 30 years of experience transforming how the industry operates. As the founder of Mighty and True, Kevin has revolutionized the agency model through his innovative Flow system and FlowOS platform. He's helped shape go to market strategies for tech giants like Google, Apple, and LinkedIn, while also guiding countless startups through hypergrowth phases. Beyond running his system's first marketing agency, Kevin is a respected thought leader who shares his insights at major conferences like South by Southwest and has been featured in publications like Forrester and Digiday. He's also the host of Tech Marketing Rewired, where he explores cutting edge B2B marketing strategies. And I am so excited to having you on the show today, Kevin.
Yeah,
So,
Veronica.
welcome.
Yeah, great to be here. I'm so glad you invited me. It's fun to be on this side of the podcast microphone.
Well, and I'm just so relieved and grateful because I've watched your podcast and you're such a pro. So it makes it feel like I've been doing this for a while. So thank you.
I'm glad someone thinks so, other than my wife and kids.
Well, it's nice to have that built in audience.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Kevin, before we get too far into this, could you just give me a quick overview of your career and how it is that you came to start Mighty and True?
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to tell you about Mighty and True. Mighty and True is a performance marketing agency that's centered on technology companies. So we only work with tech companies. It's a great niche because I started my career in technology. My first job out of college was at Advanced Micro Devices, which is a semiconductor manufacturer. And so I was at AMD for a while, and then worked for a small agency that got purchased by a big company called Hart Hanks, which is a big direct marketing company. This was back in the days of everything was manual, print ads and phones and business reply cards and all that kind of stuff. And then during that time, the web happened, broadband happened, Martech happened. A lot of really great digital social selling happened. So social media got on the scene. And then I left Hart Hanks and went for a year at Omnicom and worked in a consumer based agency for a year called Target Base, really great, very advanced analytics agency in the Omnicom network. And then I got a call back from Hart Hanks. They wanted me to come back to Hart Hanks and open up an agency that they had bought an agency in the UK called Mason Zimler, and I had a friend at Hart Hanks who needed someone to run the brand in the US. So I launched the US brand here in the United States with Mason Zimler. And that was in early uh, 2000s, I guess. Yeah, 2008, 2009. And I'm trying to remember my years. And then I did that for a while. We got very successful. We got about 160 people in the agency in 3 different locations. And I was like, you know what? I think I can do this myself. And so I launched Mighty and True about 10 years ago. And Mighty and True has been through several iterations of the agency in terms of what we do, but we've always been focused on tech. And now we help CMOs accelerate marketing strategy through a combination of strategy itself, planning, and then execution services across the digital stack. So that's us.
So, and it's funny to talk to other people who have been doing marketing for this long because I remember reading emulsion down, right? Because that's how we had to send print materials in.
That's right.
Yeah. And again, to go through so many changes and
Yeah.
right, like to actually go from print to digital and to really social and just embrace all of those changes. And I know that you said you went through a pretty significant change at Mighty and True about 3 years ago. And so I'd like you to share more about what it is that happened. And really, if you could start to talk a little bit about the Flow operating system, because I find that fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a cool story. So when I launched Mighty and True, of course, I'd never been an entrepreneur before. So I'd run agencies, but I'd never done it myself. And I was using my own money, which is a whole different level of pressure. The things I would argue for when it was someone else's money, I would have been arguing with myself for when I launched my own agency because I didn't want to spend the money like I should have. So I launched it, and we were focused on primarily digital marketing in the tech space, but I didn't really set a strategy or vision or Didn't really build any systems to scale. I just kind of decided to build an agency and grow and have some fun and hire some friends. And man, we could never get above about 20 employees. I mean, we would get up to that point and then we'd sort of teeter around that. And it always felt very hard. It was just a hard life. And part of the reason it was so hard is I really didn't set a vision for the agency. We said we were in the tech niche, but we really would work with anyone. And probably more important than anything is I didn't build any systems to scale at all. I mean, I just did not have any processes or systems. And therefore, we were doing all this stuff. We were doing content, we were doing strategy, we were doing a bunch of digital media, we were doing events, we were doing experiential, we got into motion capture, we were doing NFT stuff for a while there where that was a thing. It was crazy. It was like 20 people, running around like nuts. So around that time, I was pretty miserable. About 3.5 years ago, I was like, I got to do something different. So I downsized the agency, which was really hard to do. I hired back a few people as contractors, and I kind of let a bunch of the customers. I either gave customers to other people, or I kept a few of them. And I sort of introspectively decided to, okay, I'm going to make this thing scale. I got to figure out how to scale this thing. So I read I don't know if you've heard of Traction, EOS, or eMyth, which is another really good sort of business book on how to scale. So I got some eMyth consulting, and that whole system is set the vision, set your strategic objective, hire people and build systems around your strategic objective, and then monitor it to make sure it's all working. And of course, building systems is a big part of that. So over the last 3 years, we've been rebuilding the agency. I would say we're now back to where we were before in terms of just size and sophistication. But there's all these underlying systems and processes that run the agency. And we started building these about 3 years ago. I'm talking about just frameworks that we would have just rebuilt every time we did a project. We built them into things that were repeatable, like positioning and messaging, or media planning, or ad optimization, or web landing page development, all these things we built systems for, processes for. Then AI shows up on the scene. A couple of years ago, it was ChatGPT was just
November 20.
yeah, yeah. And so we had all these systems and frameworks developed, and it was very easy to take those frameworks and hand them to AI, and then have AI very quickly interpret them, and output things that would have taken us, frankly, it would have taken us, a week, we could do in an hour now. The thing that really, I mean, you could probably do that with, the thing that really activated it all was that we had the frameworks built through time. AI shows up and just makes it a lot quicker, but then we put humans with context across the top of it. So we had people that understood technology marketing getting served up this data much faster and much more creatively, or gave them sort of new ways of thinking about it. And in doing so, it just sort of drove the whole AI initiative here. And so, about a year and a half ago, or maybe a couple of years ago, one of those initiatives sort of related to all this was I wanted to automate the way customers would interact with the agency. I wanted to make it easier, kind of Uberize the agency front. And so we started building some dashboards. We originally started in Miro, which is like a board tool. And we just put, assets on there, and customers could gather them. They could get them themselves. But there wasn't much automation or AI built into it. We ended up building a dashboard that we call Flow, and it's built in a tool called Glide Apps. And Glide is a no-code automation tool, but it also has AI built into it. And so now this Flow, we call it FlowOS. It's part of our whole Flow philosophy. It's if you're a customer of ours, you can log in, you can you can enter new briefs using AI. You can literally talk to a brief now, and it'll build the brief for you. So you can initiate new projects, you can sign SOWs, you can see all your projects that are in planning, or currently running, or in the future, or that have been completed. You can get all your completed docs. You can proof all your materials. You can see all your financing, all your POs. You can see your media reporting. You can see some analytics related to your media reporting. So that automation layer, we're now exposing to customers to make it easier for them to actually access us as an agency. So the flow word is like the flow between them and us. We just want to make it like happen like being in the flow. So it's for that. It's kind of the automation story, um, and how Flow came about. FlowOS came about.
I could talk to you for hours because first off, you touched on client portfolio management, right? Like, and I think for agencies, it's really hard to be courageous enough to say, this is where I'm going to stick my flag and I'm going to rally all around it. And it's hard for clients too, right? Because everybody thinks I should be something to everybody. And we all know that that means you actually end up not being very valuable to anybody. So congratulations on that. And again, as an agency owner, that was a big thing that I struggled with. 15 was the tops that I got my agency to. And then the issue becomes, how do you manage your client portfolio so you can keep bringing on people without it being dependent on that lion of a client?
Yeah,
So, that's a really interesting the scalability and how that lets you have more freedom for your employment budget is really impressive. So the other thing I find fascinating is you are talking about the interaction with Flow in a lot of ways, like that was client services.
mhm,
And one, I think it's an amazing way to demonstrate value to your clients. But how do you so human at the helm, right? That's my company because I agree with you. Like there has to be that human at the top. How do you make sure that your clients experience that they really understand how valuable you're giving them the opportunity to interact with their data real time, but you still need to have the human relationship, right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like to say there's three things that make all this AI activate. There's the frameworks that we have that I mentioned, which are born through decades of experience. There's the AI layer, which is just large language model or GPTs or whatever. There has to be the human in the loop, that piece of it, and that's what internally that's what makes it all work. Externally, clients, I can see the Flow OS is really taking away the stuff that a customer would have had to call us for or email us for, that they really don't want to have to talk to us. They're like, I don't want to go to you guys to get my, where the status is of this project. If I can just see it in a timeline, I don't want to have to write you an email to say send me it in a timeline. We want to save the time for our customers for the strategy discussions, for the things that are really deep, meaningful discussions. So it takes all the stuff that neither of us want to work on. It puts that in an automation layer. So customers, when they do work with us, we're not working with them on. And we do some project management stuff, but half to or more of the project management is handled through Flow. So when they're on a call with us, we are working on the strategy. The other part of Flow too that I'll mention, there's three parts to Flow. One is the OS, the operating system that we built. The second part is just a philosophy of automation and AI. So we have all of our team members have a mindset for systems building. So we like to say that if you're a team member here, your first thought should be, there's got to be a tool or technology that can do this for me. There's got to be some way I can figure out tool or tech to help me do this better, faster for our customers. So that's the kind of the philosophy we drive here. And sometimes we can't find stuff. The second piece is our flow process. So that flow process is all the way from brief through optimization and the next quarter's goals. There's a standard operating system that runs all that. There's a process that runs all that. And we train our clients on it. And so our clients get very familiar with our flow method, like how we actually our process to launch things. And within that process, because we have this philosophy towards automation, a lot of the meetings that you would normally have to have with an agency, even to some level strategy, we do autonomously. So we'll use Loom or we'll record a quick video or we'll use Slack. And we only want our customers to have to talk to us when they have the time to talk to us. And if we can save a customer an hour, in fact, we like to say we don't like to have meetings over a half hour because most of the stuff we can get done that quickly. And anything that takes longer, we can record a Loom and we can go back and forth on the Loom to get comments.
So this is not one of the questions that we talked about earlier, but it is because again, it still feels to me that humans do business with humans,
Yeah.
really, ultimately. And, I think we've already kind of covered where you think the sweet spot is between AI and humans, but where's the sweet spot between humans and humans in
Hmm.
that interaction that you just described?
Yeah. It's in the good stuff. It's in the dreaming up new things. It's in the strategy, like talking through a strategy. It's like it's in the optimization phase when we talk to them about this worked, but this didn't work. It's in the brainstorming together. There's some when you remove all the minutia of, the day-to-day project management stuff, the human part is the most fun part. If we can eliminate the mundane and get to the good stuff, which clients want to get to, that's the human part.
It's funny because I've been working on thought leadership, and one of the things that I do like to talk about is that, AI is a great brainstorming tool, it's a great research tool, but it doesn't read what happens in the space between. And so for me, great branding lives in the space in between.
That's
So
right.
and it's a lot more fun when you're not bogged down with the minutia of looking at the data or, what's the status of this project.
Yeah, for sure. And you have to have context. That's going to be the trick for our younger project managers or people that enter the business is like they won't have the context, but they'll have the AI. And so back when I'm sure you and I were doing it, you didn't have that. Well, a lot of people just a few years ago, you didn't have that crutch. So you really your intelligence was built on the experience and the time you put into it. Now it can just be served up to you. So there has to be some human in the loop component of really just about everything at this point because I don't trust the AI to do much. I think when we were talking earlier on one of our calls, we I mentioned the fact that I was, probably a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, I would have been real worried about AI taking all our jobs. But since ChatGPT 5 launched, and I just today was working on a workflow inside of N8N, which is an automation platform. I'm like, this stuff is not that smart. It's smart, but it's not. The human brain is so much, just so much smarter. I can't see the AI. The AI can get stuff quick, but it doesn't get the nuance that a human can get. It's just, and I don't know if it ever will. I'm not real fearful of AI taking agency jobs anytime soon. And I think Mark Zuckerberg said, oh, maybe he'll listen to this podcast. He'll hear me say this. I hope he hears me. But he said recently that he thought there would be no more jobs in marketing because AI would take it all. And I mean, he probably is a decent marketer because he grew that company, but he's not doing the hard work of a marketer. It's just not going to replace us wholehearted. It's going to take the bad stuff out of the way, the stuff you don't want to do, but it's not going to be able to replace us anytime soon.
So for a long time, I've been saying that marketing is the art of managing individual relationships at scale. And that is the art that I think AI doesn't capture is it can't manage a relationship.
Yeah,
And
clearly.
I
Yeah.
don't know that it ever will. So, we are aligned in that. So, you've actually covered off a lot of my questions, but the last one I have is really what are the trends that you're seeing in how clients are responding to AI
Yeah,
and agency trends?
yeah, really good question. I think a few ways. One, we work with one client that we're onboarding that's in the financial space, and they're pretty large technical. It's fintech company, and they are very wary of any partner using AI. And we're not getting any PII or any data sources from them. We don't have any of their data, so it's a little bit less of an issue when you look at it that way. But it's not less of an issue to them. They're very serious about security. And so I think for those type of companies, there's going to have to be a small language model or a private language model approach to brands that want to be like ultra secure. So I think security is becoming a bigger discussion. I just talked to the CEO of personal.ai, which is a personal AI that basically takes what you know and it puts it inside a small language model, and you can use it for businesses. And certainly in the retail space and other industries, security is the top. It's the biggest discussion, privacy and security. So that's one thing. I think B2B tech is a little behind the eight ball there, but certainly across verticals, it's becoming really huge. I think there's a willingness for maybe a desire for our customers to learn along with us, learn AI along with us. So I always say to our team, it's like if we are using AI, we should be showing our customers how we're using AI. Like be completely transparent. Like we're using AI for this, and here's exactly how we did it. Here's the GPT we set up, or here's the automation we set up. and show them how it works and how it doesn't work. We're using some generative AI. It's like, here's how we set up this prompt to get a good video result, or here's how we're setting up an MCP to get a media data, media analytics happening. Clients want to know that stuff, especially like your day to day people and even the senior marketers. If we can help them, because we're in it all day long, if we can help them learn it faster, it's all the better for both of us. They're not going to they're not going to want to immediately replicate it. We just become a better partner. So I think there's a desire for customers to want to see what their agencies are doing and to be super transparent. And on the transparency front, like if you go to mightyandtrue.com, we have an AI policy and I've had it for, at least a couple of years. So you can see our like literally transparent AI policy. It has all the rules of how we see us using AI. And then it's got an employee section that talks about to our employees how they should be thinking about AI. And, it's heavy privacy security, but it's heavy collaboration. Um, look for a tool first before you do something manually. It's those type of things. I think from a client, the last thing I can say about customers is that I think they feel very far behind. I think they're like, I just, they see all the stuff on LinkedIn and they just are worried that they're, not keeping up basically. And so they want to use companies like us to try to get an edge on the competition, let's say. And if we can show a better outcome faster, great. That's great for us. But I think there's going to be a lot more desire from or expectation maybe from CMOs that their agencies are very good at this stuff and can help them move along faster because it's tough for them to make such a big change in their organizations.
And that is right, like having a good change agent, I think is right. Like that also seems like something that you do at Mighty and True is that you aren't just living and breathing it, you're helping other people adopt to it. And that's any one of the tools that we use, getting adoption throughout our company is such a big part of how to have that be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this has been a fascinating conversation. Before we wrap up completely, I'd love for you to tell people if they want to get in touch with you and learn more about your services. One of the things that I was really impressed by when I looked at Mighty and True is that you are using it as a differentiator for your business. And I think, that is all business owners, I think, are at the point where they're really struggling. Like, how do I admit that I'm using AI? I don't want people to know that I didn't write all of this. How do I let people know that I'm using it in a way that's ethical and actually is going to help them, my customers, whoever those are, have a better experience? So I really loved that about Mighty and True. So if people wanted to learn more about Mighty and True or get connected to your podcast, how can they go
Yeah.
ahead and do that?
Yeah. Thanks so much. You can contact me, just Kevin Kerner on LinkedIn. So I'm super active on LinkedIn. So if you DM me or connect with me, I can connect with you that way. And I'm happy to share anything. It's kevin@mightyandtrue.com. So it's pretty easy to find me via email. And then if you go to the site or if you go to Tech Marketing Rewired, it'll give you all my podcast information. And Tech Marketing Rewired, the reason I call it Rewired is because we mentioned at the very outset, it's like every new technology that we've been through has had some sort of, we've all had to rewire our brains. And we're in a really big rewire right now. It's like maybe the biggest of all time. So it's a really fun podcast. I hope if you're interested in that type of stuff, it's a fun, the guests are really great. They're the best part of it.
Yeah, and I'll second that. I've been watching, so I've been getting caught up on what you've been doing there, and I do really enjoy it. And it is, last thing is I am fascinated. Again, it was our generation who actually invented the World Wide Web.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
right.
like, our brains have actually been trained to adapt to these things. And yes, this is going to be a huge AI is definitely bigger than everything we've experienced, but every time we experience it, we've said that.
Yeah, I don't like email, fax, email, broadband, social,
Yeah.
World Wide Web. It's just like, but I think this is a pretty big one. My money's on this is a pretty in the grand scheme of those is pretty big.
Yeah, and I don't need to see the next one that tops this.
Yeah, right.
I'm all good with that. All right, well, Kevin, yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it's so great being on here. Thank you so much, Veronica, for what you're doing, and I appreciate you having me on.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, we'll see you.